endless light. What a light, source of life and beauty. She takes care, protects you and me. When all over her dazzling mountain peaks, the majesty of ages speaks. So how have we returned her love? By poisoning the skies above, burning down her marvelous trees, and pouring waste into her seas. So let's understand and face our acts. We destroy our earth, that's a fact. Can't we bring back a smile on earth? Help her rebirth.
The Guardians of the Planet.
Whoa!
Can't wait. Told you.
We could really do with a base for all this.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Hey, watch out, Buster!
All the principal will let us have is use of the school library on Wednesday evenings, and that's all.
And with a photocopier that looks like it's from the 19th century and last serviced during World War I.
And what's more, on the condition we don't go on too late into the evening. No, that's no use to us at all.
And now for your local news.
Well, that's that. Let's forget it then.
Absolutely not. We are not going to forget about this. Publishing our own paper is a great idea. There are so many awful things going on in the world. They are forgotten too quickly, and we must keep highlighting until people understand. Yeah, like world hunger or all that child labor.
And some breaking news. The oil tanker Pastix is currently sinking off the coast of Brittany. 150,000 tons of heavy fuel oil could leak from this vessel, polluting our coasts and beaches.
So, that's how they're gonna ruin my vacation this year?
And what about the governments, then? What are they doing? Is the government doing anything at all in order to stop these rusty old tubs from poisoning our marine life and destroying the coasts?
They just take the fuel taxes, and so that gives suppliers the right to pollute.
No, absolutely not. We're not gonna give up just like that. And that's not all. There's climate change and pollution and energy supplies running out. And what about water?
Right. We're all agreed then. We're not going to leave everything like this.
No, we're not gonna leave everything like this.
Fine, that's all well and good. But without a base, how are we going to do this?
I do have one idea, but,
Tell us. Maybe we can use it.
well, okay, Maestro. Why don't we ask Maestro?
Good idea. He's always helped us.
Come on.
There he is.
Maestro, we've got to talk to you.
Maestro, we need to see you.
We've got some important stuff to ask you about, sir.
Now, don't all talk at once. I can't understand a word you're saying. But I'd be delighted to listen to you, my dear children. But not in here. Now, come over to my house later, and we can talk.
We hear things every day that disgust us, Maestro. The latest is that oil tanker that's sinking and spilling tons of fuel that will pollute and ruin our coast yet again.
Every day we trash the planet, and yet the TV stations, the press, and the authorities all make pretty speeches and protest.
Yeah.
And then talk about something else, and nobody does anything.
That's right. They say we will soon run out of all our natural resources. Oil, gas, and coal. And no one seems to care about it.
Every day we pollute more and more of the air we are breathing. And what's their solution?
They'll probably declare something like a no-driving day. Like that's gonna solve our problems.
And we are continually destroying our forests.
A United Nations report prepared by 1,200 scientists says because of the way it has been mistreated, 30% of land worldwide is now technically a desert. And if we do nothing, in 30 years, more than 70% of nature will be destroyed. It's just unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes, I know much of what you are saying is completely true, but then what do you propose as a solution then?
Wait, come on, Maestro. You're not gonna tell us to just sit there while the entire planet gets trashed? The very same planet we have to spend the rest of our lives on?
I didn't say that. I simply asked you what you were planning to do.
Well, we wanted to start up a newspaper, and we will all become the reporters. Each of us can report on the abuses, the excesses, the shortages, and injustices we have all witnessed, and then we can publicly denounce them.
We all have friends in other schools, and a lot of them are ready to help us.
Yes, it's a good idea. But tell me some more about the issues that are really bothering you.
I've seen photos of the hole in the ozone layer. The ozone protects us from the sun, filtering its ultraviolet rays.
Whoa!
Then there's the greenhouse effect. If we do nothing, global warming will continue. Therefore, the glaciers will melt, and the level of the seas will rise unpredictably. Countless deltas and coastal regions will be flooded, especially in Asian lowlands. Millions of people will have to leave their homes. We must do something to control the greenhouse effect, the hole in the ozone layer, and their causes. We can't just let these things happen.
What you're saying is very interesting. Anyone else have something to say?
We have to protect endangered species threatened with extinction, like whales. There are 30 times fewer whales now than 50 years ago, and just 1% of the rhinoceroses there used to be. They're still being hunted. And dolphins. Every year, the Japanese alone slaughter 22,000. The rhinoceroses, the elephants, and tigers, and the forests that are destroyed for their wood, for paper, for packaging, and to make millions of junk leaflets that no one ever reads. All of that to make more usable land. And these forests, they burn. They are one of the lungs of the planet. They convert polluted air into oxygen, just like the coral reefs that we are breaking and poisoning and smothering and destroying.
We have to find other farming models to stop them polluting coral reefs and the rest of the world.
There's garbage, industrial and agricultural waste that's all around. We have to reduce the amount and recycle it.
Yes,
Millions of people worldwide have no access to drinking water. If things carry on this way, in 20 years, 2 out of 3 of the world's inhabitants will not have enough water. And that will mean endless disease, distress, and conflict.
And the hungry children. There are more than 1 billion hungry people in the world, and that number will soon double. And yet we destroy surplus production to keep prices up. Yes, it'd be better to share out a wealth of the earth and make sure that no one's ever left hungry again. Yes, and we have to find answers for nuclear waste too, which is a serious issue.
Even space has become a dumping ground. 2,000 tons of waste in the stratosphere? On the highway to the stars?
We must make the polluters pay and give the money to those who look after the environment. Species have to be protected and natural parks set up to preserve nature.
Do you realize, dear children, what you have just explained to me? Almost the entire Sustainable Development Program.
Sustainable development? What's that then?
It's a plan of action to make sure that any current excessive consumption of the Earth's resources doesn't jeopardize the lives and existence of future generations.
Well, we agree on the goals, so where are the results?
Well, problems of this kind aren't easy to solve, you know. Too many interests at stake, so we talk. We have conferences where people try to clear their consciences, and they talk a lot. I was invited to one of them, and we were even filmed. Would you like to see what actually went on?
Mankind has for far too long seen itself as rightful heir to Mother Earth.
Because of this relationship, we've always thought we were entitled to do whatever we liked. We've seriously abused our position and must change our ways. It's vital for us to all agree without any further delay on another way of managing our planet.
We haven't come here for you to lecture us. It's not the job of a corporation like ours to save the world. It's the task of governments. We're quite willing to look at recommendations and provide help when it's needed. But in order for this to be possible, development must first and foremost be the development of our own business.
Measures to protect our planet are undeniably the business of governments, but of rich governments. As a developing nation, we must first feed our population. But our own farming sector cannot manage this, as it's totally unable to compete with yours, which you subsidize, leaving us without any help.
I really don't think we should over-dramatize the future of our world, as Our Lady Chairperson would have us do. Opinions on these issues are still strongly divided, but speaking for my country, and in the name of free enterprise, I'm obliged to refuse.
What is he thinking? There. Now you've seen what happens at these conferences. Everyone defends their own individual position, which is never the same as any other. And to think that the country of the last speaker you heard has just 4% of the population of the world, but consumes a quarter of its resources. At that rate, the world's energy is being used 10 times faster than it can be replenished. And we'd need half a dozen planets just to satisfy everyone's total needs.
If that's how the world's leaders react, then what can we really do? Well, we're not gonna give up just as easily as that.
Well, I think we should forget it.
Yeah, good idea. I'd rather play some soccer. That'll cheer us up.
Now, wait a minute. You really mustn't give up or get downhearted so quickly when you have a great idea and yours is excellent. It's not all bad, you know. There are positives as well. These international conferences have started making people aware of the issues, even though they're still hard to resolve.
But are there any specific outcomes? Any positive achievements?
Of course there are, even if there aren't enough. I'll show you some of them on my screen. Take a look. Efforts are being made to look after some of the world's forests. This one's in New Zealand.
Please, Maestro, instead of just watching it, can't we go there? I heard a rumor that you have this amazing invention you use to go wherever you want. If that's right, instead of just staying here and looking, if we could go there, that'd be so much more interesting.
Whoa, look at her go.
Ah, so you must be referring to my flying globe. Yes, I must confess that it's an extraordinary invention, and it's true, it can take you wherever you like.
So where is your flying globe then?
Well, just come over here and I'll show you.
How did you do it? How did you make a thing like that? That Maestro's a wizard. I always said that he was a wizard.
Well, a little theory of relativity from Einstein, a bit of the quantum theory from Planck, a little destructuration. There's only one way in, and then we're all set to go. I did have one little problem to solve. Fragmenting matter into quarks, mesons, and neutrons. But when I applied the uncertainty principle, which states that a particle can be in two places at once, you are following, aren't you? Everything's in order. Well, are you coming?
Wish me luck then. Coming. You're not letting me go to New Zealand on my own, are you?
Well, who wants to come?
I do.
I do.
Come on.
Oh, no.
No, not me.
I don't wanna
go. No.
The government has given formal orders banning all logging operations in the forest, so I'm afraid we may not be able to get in. Black stilts, sadly a species threatened with extinction.
Stop!
Hey, can I take these guys into the forest?
No way! No way!
Come on, they're just students. Right. I think on this occasion we'd better get going. You see, they don't mess around. And you don't mess with the forest here anymore. It's really well protected.
Right, but it's just a small country and a small forest.
But don't look at it like that. It's a very big forest for this country. Many places like Germany, Scandinavia, Thailand, and China have also banned logging in their forests. I wanted to show you the example here. I have an idea. Why don't we go to Kenya? This is the next thing I wanted to show you. Here, for every tree they cut down, they plant another one.
Great! They should do the same in every country.
Oh, many countries already do. Canada, for instance, or Finland. In France as well. Do you remember the storms a few years ago? In Europe alone, more than 10 million hectares have been reforested over the last few years. And listen, even in America, they're replanting trees. Of course, they have good reason to. Let's go and pay a visit to the Native Americans in Montana. Can you tell us the story of that young forest?
Just look around you. The old forest burned down. One day, a man from the city came to see us and asked us to replant our forest. He offered a lot of money to do it. Money to replant our forest. Can you believe that? We thought he was playing a joke on us. But then he explained that our forest would give him a right to pollute. We took the money and set to work. So that's the story.
As for these pollution rights that you have to buy now, you see, they can also have a good side, too.
Do you have any other positive examples to share with us, Maestro?
Well, earlier on, we mentioned the big problem of waste. Modern waste management facilities have been opened that fully comply with environmental standards. Some of the waste is turned into compost and used as high-quality, non-polluting fertilizer. Some cities, Berlin, Toronto, Canberra, have set themselves the goal of zero waste in 10 years' time. That would be the ideal solution. There's also been investment in modern facilities for the treatment and recycling of wastewater, which turns the sludge into fertilizer. That's a good start, isn't it?
But do you really believe that's going to solve the water problem, Maestro? Especially the future water shortages?
Or all the garbage we don't know what to do with anymore?
No, not at all. But it's a start. Like the 150 countries that have banned aerosols, whose chlorine and fluorine compounds were making that hole in the ozone.
Really? So we're gonna succeed in filling up the hole again then, aren't we?
Sadly, not anytime soon. It'll take many, many more years. But at least we aren't making it any bigger.
With all the problems facing the world, we just can't help feeling that, well, those who have done things have only done so to ease their conscience.
You might be right, but there are many more projects I haven't even told you about. In Japan, they've begun to use organic farming with no fertilizers.
And by how much do they think that that will reduce the damage done by agriculture worldwide?
We recycle more and more paper. You've seen it all yourselves with the leaflets and the brochures that you've complained about.
In your opinion, how much will that do to reduce the destruction of forests worldwide, huh?
And Maestro, do you really think it will help to reduce the levels of pollution?
And please, please, Maestro, don't try and tell us all. The children who go hungry aren't getting enough to eat.
You're not wrong there, kids. There's still a lot to be done. But you'll soon find out how difficult it is to make quick progress.
However, it'd be good if everyone did have enough to eat.
Yes, and people must learn to share again. You can be sure these starving folk will be prepared to go a very long way to feed their children, and they'll head for places where there's plenty of food.
So, Maestro, tell us what you think about the newspaper we want to do.
I think it's a great idea. Young people have to become a driving force behind sustainable development and make their parents aware of it.
Oh!
There are some who are disinterested in the whole subject, while others don't know anything about them. So we explain to them that the air we breathe, the water we drink, the energy we use are precious resources, but in limited supply, and that we all have to learn to live with those limits if we want to pass on an inhabitable Earth to our children.
But, Maestro, that's all very well, but we still don't have anywhere to edit our newspaper.
I have a big room there next door. That's where I work, study, and do my research. You'll find everything you could possibly need for your newspaper. Just come and see.
Wow! Look at this screen!
Perfect.
Yay, Maestro!
Maestro.
This now means that to write our reports, we won't have any problems with traveling. Will we, Maestro?
Your enthusiasm is really great, but, well, listen. You told me that each one of you had friends in some other schools and such like. Well then, why don't you all form a club together? The Guardians of the Planet. And the logo of this new club for you to wear will be our planet.
Right, cool.
So go see your friends and explain the club and its aims. And get them to tell all their friends all about it, and so on. There'll have to be a lot of you if you're to make yourselves heard. Then you can talk to organizations, institutions, and those people important enough to get things moving in the right direction. Your task won't always be easy. You'll have to overcome many obstacles and a great deal of opposition. Because you're right. Although there's a lot of discussion worldwide about these problems in forums, summits, and so on. But what we have learned is that progress is slow despite the urgent nature of the task. But if an ambitious or ignorant person ever dares question your actions, you can answer together in confidence that this planet that is being ruined today is in fact your planet, the one that you will have to live on tomorrow, and that you are the guardians of the planet.
Faithful guide and friend, the earth. Look to her skies, so dear and so bright, that warm our hearts and bring us light. What a light, what a light.